welcome to the stage the man they call Jon B. Hello, Jon.
Hey, what's up, everybody? All right.
No worries. Would you like to say hello to everyone?
I would like to say hello officially. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Good to be in such close proximity and not performing or singing.
Nice and intimate, right?
Yeah, nice and intimate. You know, look you in the eye and you know, have a conversation.
And just to let you guys know, there will be questions that you guys can ask towards the end. So be prepared to get those questions ready, if I don't already ask them, of course. So I mean, you know, basically, how have you been, first of all, Jon?
Oh man, wonderful, man. Raising my daughter who's upstairs right now. You know, 6 years old she is, and ready to follow in Daddy's footsteps, hopefully, so I can retire one day. You know.
What are you going to get to do? Dance, sing?
She's a singer, naturally, so that's a beautiful thing. She's got perfect pitch, and she's got an amazing rhythm, which is definitely probably from her genes.
That's good to know.
You know.
So I mean, yeah, let's go back to the beginning with you. I mean, you were put on essentially by a Babyface.
Yeah.
But talk me through the beginnings, because originally you weren't looking to be a performer.
That's right.
So tell me about it.
Well, I was much more of a writer and a producer, and you know, just trying to get on as, you know, I had my favorite groups. I told Babyface when I met him, I said, man, you know, I'd love to write a song with you. You know, I'd love to write songs for all the groups that you produce, like TLC, New Edition, you know, After 7. At the time, you know, these groups were really at the top of their career, at the peak of their career. After 7, I know, was, and Color Me Bad at the time, Michael Jackson, all for which that I had a chance to work with in the studio. And if it wasn't for Babyface and him saying, okay, this is what you get as a producer when you sign to me. Like, this is the power that I have, like, to be able to, you know, put you on these type of projects. And I was just like, wow, you know, that's really the whole reason why I felt the need to sign with Babyface right away. And he put me up on the level that he was on. Right there, instead of just, you know, he could have easily said, no, I'm going to produce the New Edition record, or I'm going to produce the entire After 7 album. No, but he let me have 4 or 5 songs on the Reflections album. If you go back to Reflections After 7, and check out songs like Damn Thing Called Love, or How Did He Love You, any of those What You Are to Me, which ironically the Spice Girls ended up stealing the song. And the song went, what you are to me, no one else can be. And then but say you'll be there, you know, that's how giving you everything, all the joy you bring. Yes, hey, ching ching.
I know you got your just dues off that.
No doubt, man. 33 and a third, baby. You know,
No. So I mean, Babyface was recently awarded a Hollywood star.
Yeah.
Did you make it out there, and what would you say about his contribution to music?
I didn't actually get to make it there. I have been sort of like the stepchild of Babyface. I feel like, you know, he's sort of taking more like Usher and Tony Braxton under his wing. I'm sort of the stepchild, you know. But nevertheless, I've always had his back, you know. I've never excluded him from being one of the most important influences, as well as just links to my entire career. You know, he was sort of the key in the lock in the door that opened. You know,
You got to do what you wanted to do.
yeah.
I mean, you just mentioned that you did some work via him for other artists. I mean, some people may not know that you did some work with TLC,
Yeah.
Tony Braxton.
Right before, well, actually not right before, but you know, I did work with Left Eye solo. It was weird because we were in the studio doing the cool, was it Crazy Sexy Cool album. And it was funny because I have a crazy story about Dallas Austin. He heard my demo record, which is a sample of Slick Rick. I think it was Hey Young World, or Guess Who's Back? What was it? Guess Who's Back? I forget what the record's called, but anyway, I sampled that. And that was on my demo. And I remember Babyface taking my demo out to Atlanta and playing it for Dallas Austin. Next thing you know, I heard on the radio, and I creep, yeah, just keep it on the down low. Yeah, keep that on the down low, because you just stole my joint right there.
So that was real your joint.
So, you know, I take indirect credit for that record. I mean, you know, as a DJ, as a producer, as a beat maker, as a writer, you know, I pay attention to everything that's going on in the scene, as well as everything that I feel like should be going on, you know, because I'm a huge hip hop fan and I've always tried to incorporate hip hop in my music. So those moves just felt natural to make. And then when I felt that someone else did it and it was like, oh, it was a compliment right away. I never got thrown off by stuff like that. I always felt like, okay, I'm thinking the right way. You know, I'm one of the innovators here. And with that being said, you know, I got the chance to work with After 7. It was probably a year later I got to work with After 7. Colory Bad, did about 4 songs for them on their record. Got to work with Luther Vandross before he died as well on a song called Grown Things. And I remember meeting Luther at the Soul Train Awards, just kind of making eye contact and being like, Luther, what's up? And he's like, Jon B. And he singled me out of all these people in the room. He's like, I want to work with you. And, you know, it's just such an incredible thing to go all these years and have such admiration, but then have a soul connection, you know, if you will, when you meet somebody and make eye contact. So rest in peace to Luther, you know, as well as, you know, you guys already know Tupac and all that, but...
And Left Eye as well.
Yeah, Left Eye, you know, later she passed, but you know, just I had that moment in the studio with her, and that's what I'm so grateful for. So the song that was never released, it was a song called "If I Get Caught in Your World," and it was really cool because I remember all the other songs on their album were songs that T-Bar sang and Chili sang, but you know, Left Eye didn't really get a chance to really do her thing a lot. So this was a solo song of Left Eye.
So she actually sang?
Yeah, actually, it was oddly enough, I sang on the backgrounds with TLC. If we could find that record and put it out, man.
So where is this record?
Yeah, I know, it's probably with LaFace somewhere in their files, man. But you know, just to have that moment, I had it on cassette, you know, and the cassette got lost or whatever, but just to have those burned into my mind, you know, now that she's no longer here in the physical, I'm honored to have those experiences. You know?
Okay. Now, I mean, as far as the record that changed everything for you, I mean, some people say, you know, they have their own opinion, they have different records. I mean, some would say Don't Talk because it was so big, but then a lot of people say they don't know. I mean, what would you say the record was that changed everything?
I would say they don't know. Don't Talk changed everything for a lot of different reasons, because I produced and wrote that song myself. In a matter of about 15-20 minutes too. And it came so quick. It was like, I remember listening to Next. I believe it was a song they had on the radio. It was like Too Close. And then there was also a group called Coffee Brown at the time with a song called After the Party. So there was this whole bounce rock skate kind of 1-2 where you just put the roller skates on and do this like that tempo right there, you know. And I felt right away like, okay, that's easy, you know.
You weren't skating in the studio, were you?
You know, I was just by myself. I think it was, you know, a little bit after a couple drinks or whatever, just, you know, started making a record about partying and just feel like, you know, you're in a club and you see someone who just looks like they deserve for you to come in and show them a good time. And don't talk, baby, just move with me. You know, take a sip, just kind of got you feeling good. You know, it's like, it just was very, very kind of to the point, simple. But that's satisfying a different side of myself, you know, that's the club party guy, you know. Whereas They Don't Know was a song that came from going through hearsay in relationships and having a hard time with adjusting to having to deal with what people have to say on the side about what you're supposed to be feeling between the two of you, all of a sudden now is being altered by what these people are talking about on the side. And ironically, it fits so broadly for, in so many different instances. It really had a lot of different connotations to it, even for my career, and where people thought I was going. I remember I faced a lot of adversity in the first album because I was paying homage to my man Babyface for being such a huge influence on me, but a lot of people wanted to take that and run with it and be like, well, you just sound just like him, and do you have a style? And you said, man, you sound like a Babyface impersonator. It's just like, what? Like, what about paying homage, dog? That's what I'm trying to do. Like, I have my own style. So, Cool Relax was the album that They Don't Know was on, and that was sort of my staking my own claim and my style, my own swag, and saying, this is what I'm about, and don't listen to what people say.
Do you feel that you should have been bigger commercially?
Well, I remember the days that I sold records. I sold physical CDs. Y'all went to the market and the CD shop
Monday morning.
And stood in line or whatever and paid for your CD, went out to the car, put the CD in, looked at the line of notes, and evidently about 4 million of y'all went out and bought these records. I know artists right now that haven't even sold 350,000 copies that make about twice as much as I make for a show.
Okay.
The point is what it is. I mean, the business has changed drastically, so things are much more about the money that people put in for promotion and to make an artist sensationalized and a commercial value, in terms of the market. It takes your market value up when you're on TV, when you're on the radio. And so these things are paid for by the labels, of course. And we as fans, we don't know the insides and outs of what makes an artist successful, but I will say I'd say it's 80% promotion and business and 20% talent and actual content.
Okay, so after 3 very successful albums, like you say, people went into the stores and were buying, these CDs.
Yeah.
Bonafide, Cool Relax, and Pleasures You Like. You asked to be released from Epic. Like, why was that?
Actually, there was a merger going on in the labels, and all of the old employees were all leaving. So, if I wouldn't have asked to be let go, I probably would have been dropped. And that just didn't look good on my resume for that. I said, we'll back up right here and fall back for a second. And just really it was about finding a new home, a new company to believe in me like I believe in myself. But that's a very, very hard dream to sort of obtain. You're lucky if you obtain it once in your life. And with Epic, I definitely obtained it. I feel like Epic Records was the best experience that I've had thus far in the music industry. And if it's not like that, you really shouldn't have it. I feel like if it's not going to be Epic, I'm ready to get out here, grassroots, grind it out, however I gotta do it. That's why I'm at the Jazz Cafe twice a year or whatever, and we're doing clubs all around the United States. I'm going to Shanghai, China with Quincy Jones, and a lot of people don't understand. Like, I have such an affinity and loyalty to this music that the music gets me by, even when success and fame lets me down. Do you know what I mean?
Would you go back to a major if they asked you?
Absolutely in a heartbeat. I've been able to live the last 2 years fending for myself, doing everything out of pocket, out of just purely the fans' support from me, and that has been enough to get more than get by. But at the same time, I realize the value of having the machine behind you. And, a lot of people have more questions for me than they do comments and things like, I love the last album, or I love this song, or whatever. I want to get back to that. So I think you have to play the game. Everyone's got to play the game. But I will tell you, the main thing that took me out of the industry, that made me step back and say, okay, we've got to figure out how to eat on our own, was the fact that I got married, and right away we got pregnant. We were gonna have a baby, and it just made me completely change my whole train of thought. Your whole train of thought is so singular. From the time that you start dreaming about what you want to do, and then by the time that you obtain your dream, it's still singular, and you're still moving through your dream. And then when you have a child, it's a brand new dream, and you can't live the same anymore. At least I couldn't. So I had to take 6 years right now to really get things on a level to where it's like, okay, if a label's not going to support me and rake out dollars or whatever, can I still support my family? You know what I mean? So you're looking at a grinder right here, man. I've been all around the world over the last 6 years, and we might not be on every radio station and on MTV and VH1 or whatever, but
you're doing 100 shows a year.
That's right.
Okay, so you and I have talked about it before. Let's talk about your influences as far as getting into the game. Who influenced you? Because some people may not, you're an R&B artist, but you don't just listen to R&B.
Oh no, it's so vast. But I will say my earliest influences, were all of the '80s bands that were rock bands in the '80s, as well as soul bands. The Jackson 5 to Duran Duran to the Police, all the way to Heatwave, and you get into Kool and the Gang, and you get into Isaac Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, and Donny Hathaway. But then at the same time, on the flip side, The Cure, the Smiths, The Clash, so many different groups, Scritti Politti. A lot of these bands have people go, how does that connect to your music? And I think the way it does connect is the fact that I like to think outside the box. I like to think as music, not black music, white music, whatever. I like to think of music as music. It has always been that way for me. From when I was a young boy, listening to Michael Jackson and then listening to Duran Duran, it was the same. It just was music. And it wasn't until later on, until I started to make my career happen, that I was made aware of, well, why are you singing this type of music? This is black music, and you're a white boy, why are you singing this? This doesn't work. There's already Vanilla Ice, there's already Colored Band. We don't need another.
I'm on Vanilla Ice.
Ironically enough, me and Vanilla Ice just shared the same stage in Soul Train Awards for the first time this year. I performed on the Soul Train Awards 2000 this year, you know what I'm saying? And, it's just been a beautiful thing, because I've gone 18 years wanting to be on that show, officially performing. But it made all more sense because I performed along the side of Bobby Caldwell, who was the original white soul crooner, made songs like What You Won't Do for Love, and he's never really gotten his props. So, if I'm sitting here going, wow, man, I want to get some props for what I've done, I look at this guy and he stays so humble all these years, and I'm like, see, that's what it's all about right there. It was a real honor to shake his hand and then go on stage and sing my song and then introduce him. That was happy.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it yet, you need to check that out.
Yeah.
So your next project after Pleasures You Like was Stronger Every Day.
Yeah.
Now, building that album, you were going through a lot, and you had the record Through the Fire. Talk to us about that whole creative process, because you can hear it in the music.
Yeah. Well, Stronger Every Day was a searching record, because I was a single man. In my earlier years of being in the business, I was in a relationship that quickly turned sour, and I actually was in a brief marriage and got divorced, and it was a very dark time for me in my life, and it was a healing process that was going on. So you're talking about the boy who sort of got everything handed to him on a silver platter, from 18 years old, all of a sudden had all this adversity in front of him. It's like this label merger, being released from the label, and at the same time the divorce, and finances and everything are, sort of to swing and swinging different ways. I was lost, I felt lost, I felt cold, I felt lonely, and all these different elements, and just really wanted a friend and someone to believe in me again. So I felt like the name Stronger Every Day really fit, because it was what doesn't kill you make you stronger, right? It's the same, right? And it was definitely like every song was sort of like I was either in a very sensual sort of, kind of really trying to bring the romance back to a situation where I was romanceless, by myself, but I still wanted romance in my life. So I was almost like writing for the life that I wanted to live almost, but I wasn't living at the time. And then Through the Fire was a record I did with Scarface, featuring Scarface. And he's got such a profound voice, like almost like a Martin Luther King-ish type of a present, just so much charisma in his voice. And we talked on the phone. I spoke to him about being in those dark places, and when you lose yourself, how do you get yourself back, and what is that experience? Let's talk about that, And I had this idea for that, and it's called Through the Fire, and that was a record that we definitely connected on. And he was able to bring to light a lot of the different, in a lot of different metaphoric ways. He was able to sort of shed light on what it is to struggle, and just make your way through the fire. When life doesn't feel like it's cool and easy to walk through, it's like a fire all around you,
The time also had something to do with studio fire as well, right?
Well, absolutely. On a literal level, I actually, along with all of the rest of the negative things I described that happened within that period of 4 years or 5 years, my studio burned down. And that was everything that I had artistically built up since I was 12, 13 years old. I mean, every sample, every archive sound, every song, all of my tracks for my albums, it's like the most insane thing you can lose. All of your equipment, all of your, it's about $150,000 worth of gear down there. But I think even more than the gear and all that was the songs that really, really cut me. It's just like, I never get over that. Knowing that I don't have.
No one should really.
Yeah.
It's kind of deep.
But I feel like it's been, sort of donated to the universe now. It's out there, so everything's gonna come back though. It all comes back in another way.
You made a good record out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something else that not a lot of people will know is you actually remixed the record for Michael Jackson. So
You Are Not Alone.
Why don't you tell us about that?
That was amazing. I remember I got a call because I was managed by the same manager in my early days. Having a corporate manager like that, the Gallon and Morty team, they managed Johnny Gill at the time, and they managed Michael Jackson and myself. And I just remember I had ideas, and I'd say, I'd like to get this to After 7, or I'd like to get this to Color Me Bad, or I'd like to get this to Tupac, whatever. And they would work these things out and actually make it happen, And I just, I lost the track of the the Michael Jackson thing was just such a unexpected honor. It was like all of a sudden I'm sitting here with his vocals and I'm supposed to make a new beat to it, and then they're telling me the only other people who are remixing it, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and R. Kelly. I'm like, okay, cool, so I get to do my thing. And it wasn't actually with him in the studio, but I remember getting a phone call on speakerphone, and pick it up, and say, hello, the studio remixing song. hello? Is this Michael? Hi, yes, John, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm so good. It's so good to meet you, you know? I'm so honored to have this opportunity. He's like, oh, you're very charming. Thank you very, very much. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you so much. I was like, so what do you think of it? He's like, oh, I love it. It's so beautiful. It's like a totally different vibe than the original, you know? It's like, thank you so much, man. It's so good. Then later on, I ended up meeting him later at the Brit Awards and shaking his hand and taking a picture with him and all that. So just very surreal, you know, and I'm so honored now thinking back, now that he's no longer here as well, you know.
And it was that Brit Awards as well, right? The Jarvis Cocker Brit Awards.
Yeah, the Brit Awards that they don't tell you about, you know what I mean?